Lance Phillips, it's absolute madness, and mainly because it's March. Is that what's got you going, Kinger?
I'm Chris King. It does have me going. My 2-year-old's bracket looks just about as good as mine. So, college basketball expert, not so.
No,
not so.
Neither of us. Those brackets got busted.
Yeah, a lot of chirps about the brackets. A lot of chirps I've been receiving.
I have not, thankfully. Although I have, actually I shouldn't say, I've had one or two guys reach out and be like, hey, nice bracket.
Yeah.
Well done on the brackets.
Did you even look at the teams first? That type of comment?
Yeah, well, I did pick Creighton because their team name started with a C.
Yeah, and you like the Jayhawks. That's how it goes.
Gloves are off. Lance Phillips, Chris King with you. Listen, we've got a fun segment coming up. We're going to talk to Cruz Coronel midway through the show. So if you recall last week, Josh Ryan did a fantastic job of breaking down the nutshot herd around Lloydminster and area.
Josh was phenomenal.
Did a great job.
A lot of great feedback from our viewers about that, and I think they're gonna enjoy talking to Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say about how he's feeling today. I believe he's still icing, that kind of thing. What a beauty he was.
I'm sure he's happy in the end that he got a medal.
Listen, locally, the Rustlers women's volleyball team didn't win the gold. We talked about that briefly. But there was another Rustlers team involved in a Canadian Championships, and that was the basketball team on the men's side. Did not work out well for them. Lost all of their matches, ended up finishing 8th out of 8 teams at CCAA National Championships. Kinger, is that 8th place finish a disappointment for the Rustlers men's basketball team?
Yeah, it's a disappointment. I think Coach Thomas going in there was hoping that they'd be in that kind of top 4 range in the medals. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way, and the losses did not look great on the scoreboard. I think they didn't
look great in any facet. It doesn't have to be the scoreboard. They didn't look good.
Yes, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Coach Thomas yet about this. I think they played some bigger teams. I don't think they were ready for the type of structure that's ran at that level.
Fair enough.
And our team has good athletes. Everyone else had good athletes.
This is the point where when you said head, you used the word head there, did you not? Okay, I need to know where this team's mindset was going into this tournament, because I get the impression that from game to game, the mindset could be here, it could be here, it could be, it's inconsistent all the time. This is why this team is inconsistent. And I feel like they were not mentally prepared to go into this tournament.
And that possibly could have been. I think the biggest thing for them is, what do you need to do to be consistent, as you talked about? Because in ACAC playoffs, hey, they were as good as anyone. They had a shot to go in the championship game and win it. So right there, it makes them a top 8 team in Canada, no matter what. What they take out of this championship will be interesting. Do they get better? How are the guys going to be prepared? Do they want to come back and really chase that goal?
You've got to win a game.
I agree 100%.
You got to win. I mean, somebody isn't going to win a game. That's the drawback here. There's going to be a team that doesn't win a game. But it can't be you.
Yes.
It can't be you. I guess that's like the lottery, though. Somebody's going to win the lottery, right? But it should be you. Look, you can't go there and not win one game. That is just, it's not a good look.
No, and it hurts the conference. We talked about this before, a second berth up for the conference. Now the conference might not have a second berth next year because of the low finishing in Alberta teams.
It's disappointing on a lot of fronts, and my hope is that these players feel the same disappointment. Like they feel disappointed in what happened down there, because it's borderline not acceptable.
Now, that being said, we were still happy they were there, but you're right.
Fair enough.
Need to do better. Someone that did pretty good, Jose Altuve, who got straight paid to the tune of $151 million. Lance, is he worth $151 million?
Okay, well, firstly, who's worth $151 million?
I think I am. I think I'm worth that. Over 10 years?
Okay,
no?
as it pertains to Jose Altuve, yeah, 100% he's worth this. Look, he's arguably the best second baseman in baseball. He's one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter in baseball right now. Yeah, he's definitely worth it. And he's young. I mean, was 27 years old?
Yeah.
So he's at the end of this contract, he's still relatively young. He's not like Jose Bautista looking for this kind of money at 36 years old or whatever he was, 34, whatever.
Or a Pujols contract that goes till he's 43, getting 20.
I like this deal. And this is unexpected from the Houston Astros, who not that long ago were one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball.
Yes, and I think Houston's one of those teams that said, hey, we're in the zone right now. We have a shot to win multiple championships. let's go after it. And the thing I really like about this contract, he's essentially being paid $6 million this year, $6.5 million next year.
That's nuts.
The money that went into this contract is now he gets a $21 million signing bonus the next 2 years. And then after that, he's $25 million a year, which is still a pretty good deal for the best hitter in baseball. You touched on it. Led the league in batting average and hits the last 2 years, and he had 30 stolen bases.
If you're going to build your team around a player, it has to be that guy. Who else is it going to be? It has to be him.
And you talk to any baseball guy, you build up the middle. Shortstop, second base, center fielder, catcher. Second base is one of the most valuable positions on the field.
It's hugely valuable. I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays have found that out recently with Devin Travis not in the lineup. You have to keep Altuve. You got to keep him happy, and that keeps him happy.
Yeah.
I mean, he could feasibly be an Astro for the remainder of his career.
Which is amazing, and we've talked about this before. I love seeing guys stay in one place. I think Altuve's happy to do that, and he's going to hit 300 plus for the next 5 years, so it's a win.
Yeah. And especially if this is a team that maybe it's really tough to win World Series, as we know, right? But if this is a guy that can guide his team back to the World Series at least 2 more times over those 5 years, maybe even win a couple,
worth it.
It's worth it 100%. And just the money alone the team will take in from that is incredible. Toronto Raptors had a game that they'd like to forget on Sunday, somewhat forget anyways. A 132-125 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. But within that game, Kinger, were 3 ejections. DeMar DeRozan, Dwayne Casey, and Serge Ibaka now in the final 12 seconds. But the game was still in reach. They're only down by 4 points. Many are saying now that after that loss, there is a conspiracy against the Toronto Raptors from an officiating standpoint. Do you believe that?
I do not. I don't believe there's a
That
conspiracy.
Is hot garbage.
I do not believe there's a conspiracy. There's something to be said that the Raptors do get treated differently, and I'm talking on the whole in the NBA because
they're just being disrespected by media.
Media, but they're the outsider. And realistically, I'm going to be honest, the NBA doesn't want the Raptors in a final. The NBA views that as bad for ratings, bad for basketball.
Well, listen, the NBA, like all these other leagues, is a business. They're there to make money. And are they going to make as much money with the Toronto Raptors in an NBA final? No, they're not. But the reality of the situation is officials are not changing that. The officials making those horrific calls in that game are not the ones that are determining whether or not they get to the NBA finals. And the officiating's bad around the league. It's not just against Toronto. It's not just when they're officiating the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, those tees are flying all over the place. Players are complaining about it.
Or they're not. Or when they should be, they're not.
Yeah, and it's kind of, they don't know how to call that. The one thing I will say about that game is watching through the highlights is I love seeing a coach stand up for his players. I love seeing a coach get a tee. I love seeing a coach get thrown out because his players were upset. You got to protect your best. Right. And unfortunately, the Raptors kind of took that bad officiating game on themselves, hurt them in the standings. Hopefully, in the long run,
they need to figure out how to not let that bother them. But as far as the conspiracy is concerned, it does not exist. But yeah, if they're going to continue to lash out that in that fashion, they're going to be in trouble when the playoffs come around because the officiating is not getting better.
And you know in playoffs, there's one guy on every team that's going to try to get under your skin.
Yeah, for sure.
And chirp you the whole time. So that's a part of keeping your cool, officials and players. You can't outlash at anyone.
No, really. It ended an 11-game winning streak, which is frustrating for the Raptors because they were within reach to win that game right down to the wire almost. Yeah. And they need to figure out a way to resolve that problem.
Hey, new winning streak for playoffs. March Madness is in full effect. Lance, what is your favorite storyline so far 1 week into March Madness?
There's some fascinating stuff. I mean, we take a look at this bracket. I mean, the UMBC story was incredible, beating up on Virginia. You can make a case for Buffalo against Arizona. But Loyola Chicago is into the Sweet 16. It's not like they just beat lose track where it's not like they just beat Miami and that was it. Yep. They beat Miami, then they beat number 3 Tennessee to get to the Sweet 16. That's a really crazy story, and I like what's happening here. Next up, they've got the Wolfpack out of Nevada, and that's a game that's very winnable for them to send them to the Elite Eight.
It's crazy that they could be an Elite Eight team. When you look at your bracket and just seeing the whole thing with the Sister Jean and everything going on.
Yeah, the Sister Jean thing alone kind of.
It's a feel-good story, right? She gives them the pep talk and tells them they're going to do it. That's what
saying
sports.
She prays for the opponents, but just not as hard. It's unbelievable stuff.
That's what sports is about. And for me, the big thing that I'm taking away from this is the classiness of teams losing. There's Virginia lost to UMBC, as you pointed out. They got handed. really. Tony Bennett talked about how the other team was well prepared, they're well coached, they played really well, and how his guys have to accept failure. They were part of a historic season, and now they're part of a historic loss. And to see how some of these teams are handling their losses, it's really uplifting to know that that's what sports is all about. The other one that really stood out to me is UNC Joel Berry and Theo Pinson talking about, losing for North Carolina. They expected to be in the Final Four.
Right.
They're not there, but they talked about they want to leave behind a culture for the team and how to get better and working hard. And it's cool to see that stuff because you could easily just pout. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I just love seeing these underdog stories. Like, I know that we picked Marshall in our bracket, and Marshall ended up beating Wichita State. I just love seeing these underdogs. And the fact that all these underdogs have blown up all these brackets is unbelievable to me.
Yeah, and the chip on the shoulder that these kids come into for March Madness is awesome. That's what it's about.
We're going to stick with the NCAA subject, if you will. Our brackets were busted, to say the least. They were absolutely exploded. And this is now the part of the show where we get to embarrass ourselves even further when we pick our new Final Four, make our new Final Four picks, Kinger. I'm not sure that there's one of our Final Fours that are even in this at this point. Actually, there is a couple. There are a couple that are still hanging in. But who do you like now that this has been all destroyed?
So this technically is cheating, right? Like, we're coming back at it saying, okay, now that what's left.
Yeah.
The teams that I really like looking at it are the teams that are still high ranked, and there's only a few of those left, really. I really think Duke's got a chance to win it all. Wendell Carter Jr. has been really good. Marvin Bagley, potentially the best player in college basketball. And Grayson Allen, tripping guys, fouling guys, making threes. It makes them really tough. Villanova, I like as well.
Villanova's one that should be there.
Yeah, and they're the only one seed. Like, they're the team that you look at it, their trip to the Final Four should be fairly straightforward.
You could make a case for Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas, although they're going to have to face Duke, right? So that's going to be an awesome game, and Kansas is a good team. I also like Kentucky's lineup. Kentucky's big and athletic, and they're kind of playing with nothing to lose right now, so I could see them in the Final Four.
Listen, let's go back to the Midwest for a second, because this Kansas-Duke matchup, provided they get there, Duke gets past Syracuse. Yeah. Who do you like out of those two?
I like Duke. I'm a Bill Self guy. I like Bill Self's stuff.
You're just a Grayson Allen fan?
No, I just think that Duke has bigger front court players, and it will be really tough.
Think they're better coached?
I think it's probably a tie.
That's pretty interesting.
I like both those guys.
Coach K does a nice job in Duke.
Yeah.
I like Duke as well in that. There's a team that I see getting to the Final Four. My original Michigan State winning the whole thing was kind of shocker that they're out. I also like Michigan, believe it or not, to get back to the Final Four.
They're hot.
Yeah,
they're hot.
They are. At the right time.
Yeah. And when you watch them play, you're like, I don't know if this team's that good. They've had better teams, but this team's playing well.
And I got Villanova, and I agree with you. I think Kentucky gets back there as well.
So the other one I just want to touch on, Gonzaga, I think, has a shot to get in there.
They do have a shot.
I don't think Zags have been playing
I'd like to just embarrass myself just a little bit further and say they won't get in.
Of course. Vancouver recently bowed out of hosting the FIFA World Cup game due to several restrictions put on them as a host site. Lance, do you think that other Canadian cities should follow suit and drop their bid to host?
Yeah, 100%. Look, FIFA was one of the most corrupt organizations, and may still be one of the most corrupt organizations in the history of corrupt organizations. Look, it's time that Toronto pulls it's time that these cities start clamping down and saying, look, we're not going to tolerate this garbage that you're trying to feed us. And we're pulling out. You find cities that are willing to do it, that's cool. Look, there's U.S. cities that are doing it as well. Vancouver's not the only one who no longer is in the running.
Yeah.
And you're seeing U.S. cities do it. And listen to some of these. Like, so they said, the FIFA told BC Place essentially that they were going to have to put in a natural grass field. But
on
only
top
that,
of the turf?
On top of the turf, they'd have to build a natural grass field. But not only that, which would have cost, and this is all taxpayer money. This is all coming from taxpayers, which would have cost roughly $1 million to $1.5 million. Not only that, they would have had to build a separate natural grass area in case there was a problem with the first one. So there might not be a problem with the first one, but if there is, they want to have a second one.
So FIFA needs a just-in-case stadium.
Yeah.
So a couple million there. What else did you have on that list?
They wanted backup power. So if the power went out in BC Place, there was a supplemental power, which has never happened.
Right.
Has never happened. So again, these are all things though that taxpayers have to pony up for.
And one of the things when I read through that is they wanted a 2-month exclusive use contract.
And that's crazy.
how can you have that facility? The teams aren't going to be in there practicing the whole time. You're basically saying, hey, no one else is allowed in here. FIFA's the best. There was a ton of things in there that are shocking. The other thing is
security costs.
Yeah, exactly.
175 million that Vancouver had forecasted for that, and what FIFA wanted, which wasn't even really, this is it laid out in specifics, was going to cost them $1 billion. Yeah. That's like an $800 million overrun. And guess who's paying for it?
Yeah, the taxpayer.
BC taxpayers.
And this is all before the event happens, when then there's the restrictions on what you have to do for the FIFA delegates. And that was one of the big things from the corruption piece.
Listen, other Canadian cities should take note here and be doing the same thing that Vancouver's doing. And I certainly hope they do, because FIFA's going to levy these against those cities as well. Yeah, you cannot put taxpayers on the hook for this kind of stuff.
All for hosting soccer, not for spending billions of dollars on one event.
Absolutely insane. Albert's coming up on the other side. Loaded up again today. Looking
full.
forward to talking to Cruz, man.
Yeah, he's going to be good.
We're back, and the gloves are still off.
Welcome back, kids. Albert joins us, and he's full. You want to start it off, Kinger?
I will start off. He's always full.
Yeah,
this guy's always
for sure.
full.
Tweet.
Havis Kalinas.
I don't know how you say that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say that.
I butcher a lot of names on here, so
That one's impossible.
We'll let it go. Reeves with an absolute monster of a hit on Brody.
Ryan Reeves is well known for this kind of stuff. This is not new. And the problem is, are you going to fight him right there over top of your own player? I'd wait till he skates about 10 feet away and then just clobber the guy. You can't allow this kind of stuff to go on. He's well known for this.
That's train tracks. Well,
Hey,
they talk about it in NHL. Repeat offender.
Yeah,
offender.
And the NHL, until they crack down on this kind of stuff, they're going to continue to run into these problems. Is that a clean hit? I don't know if it is, because I don't even know what a clean hit is anymore.
It's hard to tell, but
it looks like he came off his feet, but I'm not sure that he did.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. All right, Sportsnet at Sportsnet, and she's proud of it. So these are two Kings fans, and there's a girl in the middle that's a jar of mayonnaise. And she's feeding it to the girl that's on her left. They're both eating it. It's mayo with a spoon straight out of the container.
Mayo in the
was that a
beak.
bet?
That's disgusting.
Like a bachelorette party bet or something?
I don't know what it is, but it's flat out disgusting.
I've never
Would
heard
you
of
eat
that.
mayo? Would you eat mayo straight out?
No, I don't eat mayo, period. And I wouldn't eat it straight up.
There you
I'll
go.
tell you that.
That's it.
Division 6 bound at Division 6 bound. This guy's going places.
Check this guy out. I'm not sure what he's thinking here. So he gets hit.
He's in trouble.
Quit running backwards. Just drop. Oh, how far back does he go?
I'm just
Look
trying
at
to
this.
count that right now. That is they scored the TD,
What's
right?
going through his head when he pops the ball up like that? What an embarrassment, eh?
I think maybe is he thinking don't hit me? That was,
Hey,
by the way,
there's
a
mail.
43-yard loss on a
for a touchdown.
on a
For the
pitch.
other team.
Yeah.
Corporal Matthews joins
Go
us now.
figure.
I'm a big fan of Corporal Matthews.
No way.
Okay, mother. We travel to Tampa to face the traitor Benedict Steven and the fatigued PTE Vasilevsky. PTE Marner has been ecstatic at the arrival of new playmate PTE Johnson. They've been camped outside Vasilevsky's bedroom window this morn, loudly playing with their Tonka trucks AM.
Hey. Watching you do that brings me joy.
You've got mail.
That's all that matters to me. 'Cause if you're happy with it, I'm happy with it, baby.
That was awesome.
I love Corporal Matthews stuff.
Worldwide WOB. Win or lose, it's now every
What
Cavs
is Kevin Love doing here?
Like responsibility asking.
Up at the top of the screen, like what exactly is happening there?
It's so awesome. If I saw that
You
game
got
live, I would have
mail.
died. Oh, that is awesome.
I honestly have never seen anything like it in my life.
Good for him.
Pierre LeBrun, this is fascinating to me. What Eric Stahl has done this season. So 39 goals now for 33-year-old Eric Stahl. Market wasn't huge for him on July 1st, 2016. Teams worried about his declining game, or so it seemed at the time. The Wild take a chance at $3.5 million per year. What a bargain, as it turns out.
It's been phenomenal.
He has been unbelievable.
Hey, this is
Hey,
the crazy
there's
thing about this.
He has a chance to win the scoring title.
He was
for goals.
he was such a good player before. Like, these guys don't drop off a cliff. Like,
No.
I don't understand why teams just all of a sudden, not
Yeah,
interested.
No, that's true.
Baseball quotes. Rare footage of Babe Ruth hitting against
Dude,
Walter
this
Johnson.
is unbelievable. It looks like he's chopping down a tree. Look at the swings. How heavy is that bat?
Well, we swing at 34. It's probably like a 40.
That's probably what, a piece of oak that they turned out of a tree just right before the game.
It looks like Ruth might have been drinking there.
Look at the swings, though. How do you think a guy like that fares in current?
I got a feeling his hand-eye was just that good. I would be interested to see him use today's bat, obviously against the speed he
You
struggled
got
for the first
mail.
little
What
bit,
would be more fascinating to you, like watching, or wouldn't it be fascinating to watch him play?
100%.
I would love to go back in time just to see that, knowing what I've seen now.
You're on air. Could you imagine the first time you saw a big deuce from a modern pitcher?
No, like, whew. And using modern day bats.
Yeah, well, it'd feel like a twig in his hand.
Florida man at Florida man. This isn't really sports, but it's amazing. Golf cart driving Florida man tries to blow up neighbor's chickens with homemade whiskey bomb during dispute over BB gun. This is a legit story.
That's
if you got a
amazing.
minute, take a time and go read it. It's unbelievable.
Any story involving a chicken coop
All right, let's bang one out
is a
here.
good story. At the NBA, triple rolls to put Vince Carter 22nd all-time scoring list in NBA history. Sacramento.
Retire his jersey for the Raptors?
Yeah, you have to.
No, you don't.
You have to.
No chance.
He put basketball in Canada on the map.
No way.
He did.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything of worth for the Raptors.
No one has really.
They've gotten farther with guys like
I'm
DeMar
just saying,
DeRozan and
he
Kyle
put
Lowry.
him on the map, though.
All right,
Yeah.
15 seconds left. Flames. That's a flat line. That's a flat line.
We
People are calling them out. They still got like 8 games left.
there's a chance. They still got a chance. It's a fleeting chance, but it's still a chance.
Cruz Coronel's coming up on the other side. I can't wait to talk to this guy. It's got to
gonna be
know how
good.
his bag is right now.
He's healing.
We're back. You can keep your gloves on, but ours are off.
Welcome back. Now, Kinger, last week, Josh did a fantastic breakdown
Amazing,
of,
amazing
of
breakdown.
what he called the best championship point of all time.
Yeah.
What was your take on it?
It was maybe the best sporting event that I've seen. I did not see it coming, and like I said, it was jaw-dropping.
I don't think Cruz saw it coming.
No, but hey, he lived to tell the story.
He did live to tell the story.
So, yeah, no, everyone was shocked. Let's put it that way. Shocked.
Okay, he lived to tell the story, and he's actually going to tell us the story today. We actually have him on the Gloves Are Off. Pretty excited
Yes.
about it. We don't very often do Skype calls, so we're
Never. First time for me.
pretty pumped to have him. Cruz, how are you today, my man?
I'm good. How's it going over there?
Fantastic. This is Cruz Cornell. Now, Cruz, listen, that save that you made was, Chris and I bantered about it a lot, that it was arguably the best college futsal, maybe even soccer save we've ever seen. How was it for you? I know you're not typically a goalie, but was that the best save you've ever seen?
Seen, experienced, I guess. Yeah.
Now listen,
Maybe the best experience,
Josh,
but
bad experience, yeah, for sure. Josh made the point that he believes you went in there without a cup. Is that true?
oh yeah, no, for sure. I did not expect that going there. I guess when I dropped down and did the splits, or
Yeah.
that's where I exposed it fully. But
Now listen. Now listen, you're not a keeper regularly, so you
No,
play obviously on
I'm
the
back.
Keano. Yes, you play on the Keano soccer team as well, correct? Okay. So what is your regular position?
I'm a left back. I'm a defender.
Okay, so he's a defender. So I mean, so he did some defending here.
Yeah, he did. I think we should actually touch on now the rules in futsal. You can't leave that goal line, right, until he kicks the ball. Is that why? Like I noticed your strategy seemed to be
The hopping.
hopping,
seemed
trying
to-
to.
Yeah, I was trying to make myself look big. I remember the
Yeah.
first shot, I stepped off my line too early, and I saved the first shot, and they had to retake it, and they ended up missing. But that's what happened the first shot.
The first shot was good. The first save, just made
Yes.
the first save, that was key. But the last save, the nut shot, as we've affectionately referred to it as,
Yeah.
was unbelievable. Now listen, can you explain the experience of getting hit with that ball?
All right, so I saved the line. The last shooter who shot, he missed it, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to go in and try to save this shot. So taking this my first shootout because I'm not a goalie, so I'm standing at the line. The guy's literally like from me, like 6 feet away. It looked like he was right next to me, to be honest. and
Yeah.
he winds up as hard as he can. I swear to God, he could have been in that hardest shot competition because that was
Yeah, he hit that.
so he hit the shot. I stepped up. I was trying to make myself look big and whatnot, and then he just rifled it, and I saved it, but not where I wanted to save it, but I saved it.
No, you saved it, yeah, and that's end of the day. That's what you had to do as a goalie, save that shot to win a championship, which is amazing. I want to talk about. Did you notice what your teammates did? They all ran and sellied on the floor and left you hanging.
Except for Joseph.
Oh, he came and helped you. You're right. One guy came and helped you out.
He
So
helped away, yeah.
The Olds player that made the penalty, that did the penalty, he came to your aid before your teammates did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I noticed that. I saw the video where it was like the 24-second video, the one that's on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
I remember I just got shot, and then Joseph off the bench just started like limping his way there. I saw Jane was like, she was coming towards me, and then she saw the guys in her corner, and then she turned and went that way. And
Yeah,
I
she did.
was lost. I was on the ground like, oh, I can't take the next shot. I can't take the next shot. And then Jai's waking me up. He's like, you just won the championship. I'm like, what? I get up out of adrenaline, celebrating, and then I see the trophy. I'm like, I did win the championship. I couldn't take it in. And then I fell back down because I couldn't take the pain. But I had to get up to celebrate.
Dude, you're going to be a legend of like a folklore legend around these parts for decades to come. I swear.
Oh,
I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Everyone's talking about it, and everyone stopped me in town saying, "Did you actually see that live?" Yes, I saw that live. The greatest sporting thing I've seen live.
Now listen, I didn't know that keepers scored goals in futsal, and I'm under the impression it doesn't happen very often. But you scored twice.
Yeah, I did. I scored the very first game, the second game, and then I'm pretty sure I had a shot on net every game. But the first two games were actually scored, and I got clear of the game the first game.
How do you make that work as a keeper, and you still have to get back and make the save if one's coming your way? Like, how does that work?
I made it work because I'm not a keeper, so that's what I.
Yeah, that was.
I just pushed out. I know we were up quite a bit that game, so I pushed out as much as I could, and I took a shot, top left corner, and yeah, that was the first game. Second game, I took another shot. I guess I got lucky. The keeper didn't see it coming because I'm a keeper myself, so.
That was one of the things that I noticed early on in the tournament. All the teams are playing, and you're pushing up right away, and that's when someone told me, "Hey, that guy's not a keeper." And then I saw you go bar down from half court, and once again, love the huge celly, like fist pumping, jumping around it. I right away I was like, okay, what's going on here that this guy's so talented but playing in net? So was it a bet, or how did it work out that you had to play net?
Well, a lot of our players weren't able to play, like due to injuries and other factors, but they brought me out because I played goalie before, like just for fun, and I guess I'm athletic, so I can play the role. But they were all their last year, like two of them was their last year, Pedro and Rodrigo. So then I was like, all right, well, I'll try it. And then I went in with gloves one day, and they're from Brazil, so they play futsal and that's their thing. So I went in with gloves, and they're making fun of me, like, oh, you're not supposed to wear gloves. I'm like, all right, well, the ball hurts, so.
That is a hard ball.
I stopped wearing gloves, and I started getting into it. Like, I actually went to train on because my roommate, he's a goalie, so he wasn't able to play, but he was training me like every other day, going to the gym, and he was helping me out. Play a bargain. Yeah.
Now, Cruz, will you ever play keeper again?
Only in futsal. I think I've never learned the sport of futsal. Like, it's my first time playing futsal. Like, I've never played futsal before. So I think if I'm going to play futsal again, it has to be in net, because I don't know what I do outside of the net now.
That's fascinating. I thought after that experience, you may never play net again. Listen, you're from Brampton, Ontario, correct?
I'm from Ontario, Brampton.
Okay, so I'm from Ontario as well, and I got to be honest, I'd never heard of futsal till I came out here. Were you the same?
Oh, I've heard of futsal because like I've seen it on TV, I've YouTubed it, because everyone's very skillful in the game.
Yeah.
In terms of actually the popularity of it, yeah, I've never heard of it until I got here.
Do you prefer it to soccer, or do you prefer outdoor?
No.
No, you shut that down.
I played it because it was part of like the college
program,
and
right?
part of my part of my scholarship, so I had to.
So one of the things that I found interesting is, so this gold medal in futsal, gold medal in soccer, do they compare? You guys won gold in men's soccer, correct?
Yeah,
You guys went to
we got
nationals?
gold at provincials. It was still a good feeling because I guess I got MVP.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, that's. No, honestly, this one was a better feeling because we put more work in. Not that we put more work in, but it was just so hard to get to where we got because the amount of
Right.
players and the situation and all that. So,
Right.
yeah, I'd say it compared. They were both really good.
So, and you won the futsal championship with 4 players, correct?
On the final, it was one. Oh yeah, 4 plus me.
How
They played
that
with no
must speak
subs.
to how good your squad is then if you can win it with the least amount of guys possible.
Yeah, and plus we didn't have Pedro because he got a red card that game, but he's a 5th year too. So if we had him in the final, it would have been a whole different story. But
And I would argue he's one of your best players, right?
no, for sure, he's straight out of Brazil too. There's 4 internationals we have, so we could only dress 3 of them. So that's how Rodrigo's brother got to play because Pedro sat out because of the red card.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, something that's been burning for me since you and I started talking is you're from the GTA, so clearly you're a TFC fan.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about what they're doing in CONCACAF right now?
Oh, they're tearing it up. I was watching the Tigres game live. My dad went to a couple of the games out there. No, they're killing it right now. They're really putting Toronto on the map in terms of soccer.
And have you noticed just in your time in being in the GTA that there's a big uprising in not only the soccer community but just young people getting involved in the sport because of what TFC is doing?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure soccer is like probably the. This is what I heard last year, but they're the most popular sport like in Canada right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like more than
incredibly
hockey as well, and even the Raptors are killing it. So, but yeah, no, they have a good community out there.
It's really growing at a rapid rate. So being from Ontario, Keanu's had a lot of guys from Ontario in all their sports. How did you end up in Fort McMurray? How did that process work?
Yeah, so our coach, Murat Sukru, he's from Hamilton, Ontario.
Right.
And my coach, so this logo I'm wearing, CR Soccer, that's where I play back home in academy, Carlos Rivas Academy. He the older guy, the Carlos Rivas Senior, he coached Murat Sukru at the national level. And Murat asked him for a couple players, and then he saw me, and then he asked me to come out, and I came out last August, and I've been here since.
That's awesome.
So this is your first year.
Yeah, it's my rookie year.
Are you enjoying it?
No, I'm loving it. Yeah, no, I'll be
That's
back.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good. How many years do you hope or do you think you'll spend in that program?
To be honest, I'm not too sure yet, but I know next year's a go for sure. So I just want to play it out year by year. Plus, I'm getting the schooling, so
Yes.
that's important.
Cruz, listen, we really appreciate you taking some time, and like I said, that nut shot will live in infamy in this area. So I hope it was worth it.
Yes. And congratulations on the gold medal
Yeah,
as well.
and the MVP.
Not just the nut shot, but good job on the weekend.
And wear a cup, would you please? For God's sakes, man.
I didn't know people wore cups in futsal.
Now you do. Now you do.
I wouldn't have got that video if it wasn't if I wore a cup. So
That's true. That's
All right,
true.
Cruz,
Awesome,
listen,
man.
take it easy. Good luck in the upcoming season, what happens next year, and hopefully we'll talk to you again.
oh, thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
Cruz Cornell, what a beauty.
He's unreal.
He is honestly, I've never seen anything quite like that in my life.
Confident young man, and did what he had to do to win a championship.
You gotta like it, eh?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
NHL picks coming up next. You gonna pick an MVP?
I think I got one.
We're back. You can keep your gloves on, but ours are off.
Cruz is a beauty, eh?
He is a good guy.
Yeah. Well, was it you who said that? No, Josh said it. He said it. He looked like a good guy.
He was pretty nice around the futsal pitch, so yeah.
Yeah, it was good
carried
talking to him.
over.
It's funny that we had that in-depth review of his nut save, and then we get a chance to chat with him. That was awesome.
And he's excited about the fame, his 10 seconds of glory.
Yeah,
He's
he
loving.
is excited about it, isn't he?
Besides the pain, I think he's loving it.
And he's going to play a goal again in futsal, which is incredible.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Okay, the NHL season is winding down, and at the end of the NHL season, it's time for sports writers and media people to make their picks for the NHL awards, which we're going to do right now, even though the season isn't finished. It's pretty much there. There's a couple of awards that still could go either way, but we think we've got this narrowed down.
We hope.
We hope. What do we start with? You want to start with the Hart? It's the one that comes up at the end of the awards.
Yeah, it's
Obviously
the most important.
You think it is?
Yeah. MVP?
Okay. All right, we'll go with it.
I think so.
Okay, so we're each going to make picks, and I'll start it off, I guess, and then we'll kind of,
Yeah.
the graphic there will show who each person has picked. Listen, the Hart's a crowded field.
Okay.
The Hart's a very
yeah.
crowded field, and you could make a case for a few guys. You could make a case for Taylor Hall. The Edmonton Oilers would not like that.
I just threw up in my mouth.
Yeah, but you could make a case for him.
Nope.
He's been unbelievable. But listen, I'm giving this to Nathan McKinnon. Entering Tuesday's game against the Blackhawks, this guy has 38 goals, which is tied for 7th, 51 assists, tied for 13th, 89 points, which is tied for 2nd, and he leads the league with nearly a 1.4 points per game average.
It's ridiculous what he's done. Now, oddly enough, I had the same guy on my list. I think he's the winner. The only thing I could think is if they weren't in the playoff race, maybe Ovechkin.
They're a bubble team.
Yeah.
Here's the real kicker is that he's accounted for nearly 40% of Colorado's offense throughout the year. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and this is a team that was, let's be honest, terrible last year.
They were left for dead even at the start of the season.
Yeah, and looking down the stretch, 28 points in the last 15 games since February 18th. What he's doing is outstanding. I'm with you. He's the runaway.
All right.
Ovechkin's my second.
Go with the Calder, baby.
Calder, Rookie of the Year. This one, I have one choice and one choice only. You might argue this. Matthew Barzal, 73
Matthew Barzal's been unbelievable.
points in 72 games. Assist machine. He plays like a young Adam Oates kind of. He would be my pick for Rookie of the Year this year. Really the only good thing the Islanders got going on right now.
He is the only thing. And, a lot of people said you can't pick these guys on losing teams. Look, there's a lot of good rookies playing on bad teams. He's one of them. The only one that really isn't is McAvoy playing for the Bruins.
Right.
But he's coming along of late. But what Barzal has done for the Islanders over the course of the season is unbelievable. And you can make a case for Brock Besser here too with Canucks.
And the only thing I'd argue on that Barzal point is if you're on a bad team and you're on the top line, you get matched up 1 versus 1 all the time. You're always seeing everyone else's best. So I think it's actually harder. You're just getting the crap kicked out of you. That's the only difference.
Vezina. The Vezina, I have picked Pekka Rinne here. Pekka Rinne, pardon me. He in the 4 major categories, goals against average, save percentage, wins and shutouts, he's in the top 3, and he leads 2 of them with shutouts and tied for first with wins.
Yeah.
The guy's been incredible, and he typically has a weak-ish season, and he follows it up with a strong one. And last season was a weak-ish one for him, and this year he is a force.
We talked about him several times on the show. He's my pick as well. It's like you're
this is getting
copying my
Were you
my
watching
notes.
me make
yeah,
these
no, I
notes?
think you're looking over my
What's the matter
shoulder is
with
what
you?
happened. He's so athletic, and he can change any game, win any game. And we saw it last year a little bit in the playoffs. That's why I think they're the favorite this year is because you need one of the best goalies to win the Stanley Cup.
The only knock on him could be is that the defense core playing in front of him is one of the best in the league, and PK Subban is up probably for a Norris Trophy. Like he's one of the guys that's in that.
He's in the top 2
for sure.
Well,
so
let's touch on that Norris right now.
Okay, so we're gonna go Norris. Is this you?
This is me.
Okay.
So I'm sure we have the same picks the way that this is going.
I'm turning mine.
I had Drew Doughty, 54 points in 73 games plus 19. He's on the ice 26 and a half minutes a game. When you take him away from the team, I think the team's a lot worse. And I think that's one of the big things for me on these awards. If you look at best defenseman, Subban's been really good. There's other guys that have been good, but Subban's really good on a good defensive core. That's why I went with Doughty.
Right, so this is the
Hello.
first one. Yeah, I went with Victor Hedman of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now look at Hedman, he's with Doughty. He's one of 7 defensemen who have a chance for over 60 points this season, 60 points plus. He's a top 5 defenseman in power play scoring. But here's the kicker. He's a plus 26.
Which is
Like comparing that to Brent Burns, who's a minus 18, Erik Karlsson, who's minus 24, he's a plus 26. He's one of the top few that have this. It's unbelievable what he's done for Tampa Bay.
Especially how much time he logs, right? He's out there.
Well, he's one of 5 defensemen that averages almost like over 25-45 of ice time per game.
Which
it's insane.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's playing half a game.
Yeah. Every single night.
All right, let's move to the Art Ross, which is leading scorer. Now this one's a little bit different because is, you know, this could go
Little
a few different
projection, a
ways.
little
Yeah, a little
projection
bit,
on this,
little bit
yeah.
of projection here. So we've got Nikita Kucherov, who currently has 93, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and Evgeny Malkin at 89. Then it drops off to 84, and I think a lot of those guys are out. I went with Kucherov here, and over his last 9 games, he's got of 4 of them come against the Islanders, Coyotes, the Rangers, and the Sabres, and these are teams that Kucherov has a chance to really light it up against.
Yeah, we're talking like 3 points a game type of deal.
Feasibly. I mean, so he's a guy that I see, you know, he's got a 4-point lead right now. He's going to maintain that over the rest of the year, and I think it's going to be tough for some of these guys to catch him. McKinnon could be the one kid who could catch him.
Yeah, and I had the same.
He's got a tough schedule going forward.
Yeah, the only thing for McKinnon to catch Kucherov is he's been so hot that if maybe he continues that, they're going to get a lot of power play time. Their teams have been playing well. Maybe he gets up there on the points. So I'm with you on the Kucherov. I think that this year was interesting because I did not see this coming. You know, when we talked about this preseason, was not in my books at all. Moving on to Coach of the Year, the Jack Adams.
There's only 2 guys here, Kinger, that you can really talk about.
I am talking about Gallant. If I pronounced it right, it's...
No, I'm laughing because I swear you're looking at my monitor.
It's hard not to take them. No one thought... Yeah, but maybe we should have discussed our answers before we went here. I don't know. No, like the Vegas has been so good, and no one expected it. And a lot of this, you can say what you want, but he's got them going in the right direction.
You remember when Sidney Crosby was snubbed at the All-Star game 2 or 3 years ago? Yep. The only thing worse than that could be if Gerard Gallant does not get chosen as the Jack Adams Award winner.
I agree.
What he's done in Vegas is unbelievable. This is a team that at the beginning of the season, bookies had them at a 200-1 odds to even make it to the Stanley Cup final. And they're a team that should be probably a favorite right now.
Yeah, but they've been playing unbelievable.
And I've got George McPhee, just to add to that. George McPhee would be my GM of the year because of what he did in the expansion draft. I mean, it's unbelievable. He's got 5 picks in the first 2 rounds of the 2017 draft, and he's got 6 in the first 3 of the 2019 draft. Like, not only is he good now, he's going to be good down the road.
And that's with them trading for Tartar at the deadline.
Oh, I love tartar with fish.
He's good. He's
Tartare
real
with fish
good.
is amazing.
Not a bad hockey player as well.
You like tartar sauce?
I do.
Tartar sauce.
Tartar.
If you can't score, you might as well drop the gloves.
Welcome back, friends. Listen, I want to quickly mention we had Cruz. Cruz obviously is from Ontario. He goes to Keano College. But I also want to mention that, you know, there's lots of great sports-minded people involved in sports in this community. And if you think that you know somebody who should be on the show, please reach out to us. You can reach us, obviously, on Twitter at Gloves TV or Facebook, The Gloves New Cap. Reach out to us. Tell us who it is. We're always looking for new guests, kind of fun guests that do something really great in the sporting community.
Yeah, slide into our DMs.
Slide in. Listen, let's slide in some what we learned. How about, you want me to kick it off today, or would you?
Sure,
like to?
you can kick it to me.
Listen, what have we learned from the Calgary Flames season to date?
What have we learned? We've learned not to get desperate at the trade deadline. The Flames made a huge trade for Travis Hamonic at the trade deadline. They've given up their first, their second this year, a second next year. They're not going to make playoffs, most likely.
Whoa, there's still lots of time for them to make
I know
playoffs.
there's time. Okay, they're probably not going to make playoffs. Worse than that, they're not going to have a pick till the 4th round of this year's draft. If they don't make playoffs, is that trade worth it? I think jittery at the trade deadline is something we learned from the Flames this year.
Fair enough. But, you know, all these people saying, oh, they're done. I've heard it for the last 3 games. Oh, they lost. They're not going to make playoffs. They lost. They're not. Look, you don't know until it comes. And they're only like, what are they, a few points out? Like, they're not far out, 6 points, I think.
They're close. I know that you also like when people say, hey, wait, if playoffs started right now?
I saw a tweet from NBC Sports who said, here's the playoff matchups if the playoffs started right now. It doesn't matter. The playoffs don't start right now. They start, when do they start, Kinger? When the playoffs start. That's when the matchups can be made.
Okay.
Till that point, you don't know who it is.
Correct. Now, staying with hockey.
Sorry,
I'm glad I got
gets me
you.
rattled,
Teapot.
baby.
This
Gets me
teapot's
rattled.
fired up here. All right, what we learned.
Jim's laughing at me, for God's sake.
Goaltender interference. What have you learned about goaltender
Nothing.
interference?
Nobody's learned anything about goaltender interference. Nobody knows anything. Look, it's a hot topic at the GM meetings, and the GMs want to make these changes. They know they want to make these changes. But they have no idea what the changes should be. Look, nobody knows anything about goaltender interference, especially referees, especially officials, and especially the league. They've created this massive problem and have no idea how to fix it.
They just went too far. It's got to be Olympic style. That's the only way you fix that.
Oh, what an embarrassment. All right, let's bang out one more here. What did we learn from Kirk Cousins' new contract?
That Kirk Cousins is now the richest guy in the NFL, but did we ever think that Kirk Cousins was going to be the guy to shape how quarterbacks get paid for the future?
No. Or Jimmy Garoppolo?
So what I learned from this is timing is everything, right? For him to come up at this time, $30 million for him, 27 for Jimmy, 25 for Stafford. Timing is everything, especially when it comes to QBs.
Well, it's huge. I mean, that's the reason the New York Jets traded. They want that third pick. They want a QB. Okay, listen. Let's. There's a couple in town that I want to hit on, and I've had the luxury of talking to them a couple times. Chris and Stacy Eskelson. So for people who don't know who these people are, they're a couple who have 3 kids in the Lloydminster community, and they run the Intro to Hockey program for Lloyd Minor Hockey. They run the Pond Hockey program, and they run the Ball Hockey program that's going to be starting soon.
Whew.
They volunteer. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars of their own money to make these programs go. And they recently were kind of rewarded, if you would, from all the parents from these programs who pitched in to buy Chris a timing device so he can time his players as to skate around the ice. It's incredible what I've learned what these people do. And you have to have people like this in your community.
I was just going to say that's what builds the community, and that's what makes small towns like Lloydminster such a great place, or even smaller towns, people like that put in the work and the time for free just to make the community better and keep kids out of trouble. Really.
Make no mistake, these people could mail it in if they wanted to. They could say, yeah, we're just going to do this Intro to Hockey program, blah, blah. They don't. They went and bought fog machines. They bought lighting equipment, microphones, and they've made this a big production so that these kids feel like NHL players on the last day of their thing. It's unbelievable. It's incredible. And for any parent who has kids that may be entering this program, you're going to see exactly what we're talking about when your kid gets the Intro to Hockey. They are laying the foundation for Lloydminster Minor Hockey, and they are not getting enough credit for it.
Well, and that's how you get kids hooked into sports. We talk about this all the time. Give them a great experience, have people that want to be there, help them out, make them feel good about themselves. It pays itself back. And the community is going to reap the rewards from the work that people like that.
And I say they're not getting enough credit. Cosette Marriott and a bunch of people organized a really great event for them this past weekend that was incredible. So kudos to everyone who helped out the Eskelsons, who are community saviors, for lack of a better term. Thanks for watching. See you in 7.